So one of the benefits of being a content creator, shill tuber, whatever you want to call it, is we sometimes get free gear. But I'm going to talk about the realities of all that, and it's not all just, oh, I get a bunch of free stuff, and that's awesome. Let's talk about it. So the first thing I want to talk about is probably what a lot of people would be offered the first time that they get contacted by a brand, and that is product exchanges. In my experience, it's the most common email or DM that I get from a brand when they reach out to me like cold, and they'll say, we have this product, you know, some generic thing about loving my channel and how my videos inspire or whatever. They don't actually know who I am most of the time. And they're usually just sort of like, we have this product, we'll send it to you if you make a YouTube video or Instagram reel or whatever. And there's not inherently a problem with that, but there kind of is. And I think the biggest issue with that is because, especially when it comes to, you know, not super valuable products. It's not like people are just being sent lenses or cameras just all the time and these companies don't care. It's usually sort of those lower value products that I have a bit of a problem with, because it's like even the value of the product doesn't even cover what you would be charging for that work. And in some cases, I think some of these brands, particularly in the, you know, photo, video, camera, filmmaking niche, these brands can often kind of take advantage of smaller creators where they're just excited about getting free gear. They're like, oh, this brand contacted me, they're gonna send me something, all I have to do is make a video for them. And that can often be really cool when you're that smaller creator. But if you just keep accepting that, you're not really gonna get anything more a lot of the time. And then also there's kind of the problem of, you know, I'll get that email and I'll be like, no, I'm not gonna work for free. And then as soon as I say no, they'll move on to somebody else and hopefully they'll say yes, and they'll just sort of go down until they find someone willing to do it. And I think that's sort of a problem in the creator industry, I guess, is those smaller creators are being sort of targeted almost by these brands because they know that they can get away with not paying them. I've also heard this can often be the case with larger creators as well. They'll just get offered nothing to make a video, but I imagine it is much more prevalent in the sort of medium to smaller level creator in this space. Now, when it comes to sponsored videos, that is when a company will actually pay you to make a video about a product. It's this company sent me this thing, I'm gonna showcase everything about it. And that's sort of how I handle those sort of videos. I call it a showcase. I never call that sort of video a review. It's not a review if you're being paid to do it. I see that around on YouTube where people will call it a review, but it's being paid for in some way, where if money's changing hands, it's not a review. And that is often why people in reviews and people who are really good reviewers, like, you know, Gerald Undone, for example, always will say no money changed hands, the lens has to go back, whatever, you know, whatever he says. And that not only just sort of discloses, you know, what actually is going on, but also saying I'm not being paid to do this. It is, you know, in a way as impartial as it can get, because I'm not being paid to make this content, or I'm not being paid to say good things about this. However, when it comes to those videos where you are being paid, that is when, you know, a brand will say, we'll send you this product and this much money, or they'll say, what are your rates for a sponsored video? And it's like this much money, and then they pay you to make a video. I've done a couple of those. The one exception to this is the first sponsored video that I did, YouTube video at least, not talking about like shorts or anything, is actually for Nisi, and instead of getting paid money, they actually sent me their Athena 50mm, not this one. I have a 50mm E-mount because I said, yep, we can do what you asked for this much money. And they said, how about instead we send you a lens? Because I actually did mention the lenses beforehand. So like, that's fair. And because that was that sort of exchange of gear that wasn't the subject of the video, that's when it's like, okay, well, they've paid me just in something that isn't money, but not the product that is in the video. If it is sponsored, if you're being paid or otherwise compensated to make that video, then you obviously have to disclose it. This video does not have a sponsor, so I didn't need to do that for this. And a lot of the time that I've made videos about gear, I don't need to say anything because it's not sponsored. A lot of the time I still will like put out some disclosure, whether it's like whether I did get something for free, but I don't have to make the video or something like that. I usually say stuff like that just so everybody's on, you know, the same page, everyone's aware of everything. But in the case of that Nisi video, it was this Nisi Swift filter kit that I still use. That is one of the rare cases where I will accept product as payment instead of actual money, because it was a product that I actually really wanted, and it was, you know, of a decent enough value that it's like, okay, instead of being paid money, I'll get this lens that I want anyway. But I wasn't going to do a whole YouTube video just for the filter system that they sent, because one, the value is not there, and two, I didn't ask for that product. I didn't want that product necessarily. I use it a lot, and it was actually super helpful that I got it. But it comes down to the value that I place on that product in how much I want it, sort of thing, and how much it'll be useful for me. And of course, its actual monetary value. Okay, another really common thing in this industry is affiliates. A lot of brands will have an affiliate program either through Amazon or through one of the affiliate marketplace sites like Impact or Enlistly and stuff like that. And I think affiliates can be a great way for creators like myself to make, you know, a little bit of extra money. It's not going to make you a lot of money, but it can help. Speaking of which, there's some affiliate links in the description. If you want to get anything from those, click those links, buy some stuff. Helps me a little bit. But one of the issues with affiliate programs is a lot of the time brands will use that as their offer for, hey, we'll send you this product, make this video, and you can join our affiliate program. A lot of the time you can just sign up for their affiliate program. You don't actually have to be invited. Sometimes you do. But when it comes to like making content specifically about a thing that they want you to make, that's when it's like, okay, well, no. If you want me to make this specific content, then you got to pay me on top of that, like, or separate from that. Yeah, sure, I'll sign up for your affiliate program, or maybe I'm already part of the affiliate program, but I'm not going to use that as the payment, because most affiliate deals are like, you know, between 2 and 10%. I have an affiliate link for Alvin's cables, which may or may not be in the description yet. I'm not sure. I don't know if it's been sorted yet. But that's 15%, but to be fair, those products are pretty cheap. Whereas for the likes of Condor Blue or SmallRig, maybe we'll get like 5 to 7%, something like that. And then for services like audio, also in the description, I just get like a flat rate per sign up. So if somebody signs up for a year, then I just get paid one amount, no percentage or anything. It's just like, that's how much I get. But yeah, for the most part, I don't really like being able to sign up for a company's affiliate program as payment. That can totally be on top of a thing, and I usually will tell brands that, be like, yeah, I'll sign up for your affiliate program, but you also need to pay for this content. Okay, now the next thing is loans, and this is sort of an interesting one. As you may know, if you've seen my last few videos, I currently have the Blackmagic Pixus 6K. I'm shooting on that right now. I have that on loan from Blackmagic. Blackmagic sent it to me for a limited time. I have to send it back in a few weeks. And I don't have any specific like content that I have to make of that. They're not paying me anything. They just sent me the camera and I have to send it back. And actually this Nisi Athena 40mm, this was originally a loan, because I think I actually got this just before it was available, like just before it came out. This is actually a sample. Like a pre-production version. And that was originally a loan. I just was talking to them months later and they said I can just keep it. So sometimes they can just turn into like, yeah, whatever, keep it. Don't worry about sending it back. The Pixus though, I'm fully expecting to have to send it back in a couple of weeks. But loans are probably one of the more common ones that maybe a lot of viewers don't necessarily know about. And that is that, you know, all of these embargo camera reviews, lens reviews, you know, when everybody releases their video on the same day of a camera release, most of those people have to give that camera back. They'll get it for maybe a few weeks, maybe a couple months, and then they have to send it back. And most of the time they'll say that. They'll say, I have to give the camera back, no money, exchange hands, yada, yada, yada. So that's probably one of the most common cases where they happen. But, you know, like with this Pixus, the Pixus has been out for like a year. Well, people have had them for almost a year, got announced well over a year ago. But that one was just sort of I asked them, they said yes. It's a camera that's been out for a while. It's not like it was some new thing that I got to see beforehand. So they can just sort of happen, but I feel like for the most part, they're like surrounding the launch of a product. Now, speaking of the Pixus, this is sort of one of the big things that I wanted to talk about is I have this camera for free for like 2 months. However, I've had to spend money on this camera to get it to work. I had to buy a card because I don't have any CF Express Type B cards. Since having this all organized, I did actually reach out to ProGrade and they sent me a couple cards. So thank you to them for that. But that wasn't going to be guaranteed. I hadn't asked them yet. So I wanted to just buy one to make sure I had one to get the camera working. I also had to buy a battery for the camera because the Pixus doesn't come with a battery. Not super necessary because I use V-mounts for everything, so it's not a massive deal, but I like to have that redundant power supply in the camera anyway. Also had to get a BPU battery charger because I've never used BPU batteries before. If you watch my rig build video for this, I also had to buy like a NATO rail because I didn't have a long enough NATO rail that can attach my handle onto the top of this Pixis because, you know, I didn't have a cage. Hondo Blue didn't send me a cage. I did ask, but they didn't reply. Sometimes that just happens. These marketing people probably get so many emails asking for stuff all the time, you know, from small to medium-sized creators that they, honestly, fair enough if they don't reply to a lot of them. But even just to attach a handle, I needed to buy a NATO rail. To be fair, the NATO rail is really cheap, but, you know, I had to buy a bunch of other stuff. I also had to buy a PL to L adapter because I don't have any L mount glass. Well, I do now. I'm currently shooting on the Sigma 28-105 L mount because I may or may not be switching to L mount. I am. Videos coming whenever the Lumix S12 gets here. But yeah, just to receive this Pixis from Blackmagic, I had to spend over $1,000 just so I can have this camera for a few months. Now, it's not as much as if I had have rented it or let alone bought it, but still I had to buy things to use this camera to its, you know, fullest potential. And this will obviously vary depending on the camera, depending on what you already have. If I already had a bunch of L-mount stuff, then lenses wouldn't matter. If I already had BPU batteries, that wouldn't matter. If I already had CF Express Type B cards, that wouldn't matter. So I wouldn't have necessarily had to buy stuff. But because I only had Sony stuff up until this point, then I had to buy all that stuff to make this Pixis work. Now, if I end up getting the Pixis 12K either on loan or if I end up buying one, now I can just sort of make it work because I have all this stuff for the 6K. So that one, I won't need to. But yeah, I had to spend a lot of money just to use this camera that I got for free. And that's sort of my whole point of this video is nothing is really for free when it comes to stuff like this, because maybe it is a loan, but then you need to buy things. Or probably the biggest thing with all of this is these companies are only willing to send things because they think they can get advertising out of us. As creators, we are their advertising. So they will send it to people that they think will make videos about them. And that's why a lot of the time they require you to make videos about them. So in one way or another, these brands are sending us stuff to get more people to buy their products. With really big creators, either they have the budget to just sort of pay those creators and they're willing to do that because those creators have a lot of influence, or they'd be willing to send product to these big creators with no expectations because they have such an influence that if they do make a video or if they even feature it in a video, then a lot of people will be interested and they'll ask, or they'll, you know, if that creator likes it, then they'll say, yeah, this is the Nisi Athena 40mm. I really like this. You should all go buy it. You know, if that video gets 500,000 views, Nisi's probably going to make a little bit of money out of that. That was not an actual ad for Nisi. Yeah, I know it sounded like one, but it wasn't. They recently contacted me and then ghosted me after I replied. But my strategy for handling these brand deal type things, whether they are paid or not, is I sort of tell companies two things when they first reach out to me, is that if they want specific content that I can guarantee I'm going to make this content, it'll be sponsored, then they have to pay. Then it'll cost them money because it is paid advertising for them. A lot of the time they're like, we don't have the budget, or we have like $300, which does not cover the cost of making a whole YouTube video, especially if you compared that to, like, you know, the rates of a videographer or a DP or an editor working with, like, you know, businesses locally sort of thing. So if they have the budget for that, then cool, sponsored video. That's great. If not, what I'll generally tell brands is that, no, I'm not going to just guarantee that you get this content for free, basically, if you're only giving me a, you know, $200 product. But what I'll say is that feel free to send it anyway. I may make a video about it, depends if I like it. If I like it, yeah, I'll talk about it. But it's not an agreement for me to make video. I always say that I'm not agreeing to make any content. If I make it, it's up to me, it's up to my discretion. And then it's not even like a, you should go buy this. It's a, here's this thing. This is what I think about it. And that's when it can be sort of more like that honest review type thing. And I hate when people say honest review, and hands-on review and real-world review and that sort of stuff. Like that, just like, yeah, obviously, that's what it's all supposed to be. But I guess my point with all of this is kind of don't let brands take advantage of you as a creator. And brands, if anyone from a brand is listening, don't take advantage of creators. You know, pay us properly, pay us fairly. We want to work with you. It's just, you know, if we're saying, no, I won't do it without being paid, it's because we want to be paid for our work. One of the things that a lot of people might not know is when brands send you stuff, that counts as income. So according to the government, they have, in a way, paid you. So you need to pay taxes on that. And if you don't have money as income, you can't really pay taxes on that. So that's when it helps to actually get paid money. But if there are any people from brands watching, I don't know. I hope that didn't deter you from contacting me. I'm sure you can find my email somewhere. For creators, yeah, don't just accept free work, I guess. There's obviously a lot of caveats to that. Free work is very important, especially if you're doing like freelance stuff. Free work when you're starting out can be super helpful. But yeah, just, you know, be smart about it. Anyway, I've rambled on for too long for this. I'm going to call it there. Thank you for watching this one. Go watch another video. You want to support me, you can join the channel, be a member, click some affiliate links, do all the other things, and I'll see you next time. Okay, bye. Also, Blackmagic, if you're watching this, please send me a 12K when they come out.